Hello, welcome to Granada Reports. Thousands of miles from Ukraine, but the thoughts of many of us are with them there tonight.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And the impact of Russia's invasion is being felt right here this evening.
Watching in horror, Ukrainians who've made the northwest their home tell us of their distress and their fears for their friends and families as conflict escalates.
I have no doubt that we will not surrender and everybody will fight.
Could another refugee crisis be on the way? A special report on the government's plans to shake up the asylum system.
On the day remaining COVID restrictions are lifted, we hear 3 stories of how the pandemic changed lives forever.
Councillors vote against a multi-million-pound development to bring the Ryder Cup to Bolton's Holton estate. We'll be live with the latest.
And Sir Jason Kenny calls time on a golden career, retiring as Britain's greatest ever Olympian. First, though, the Ukrainian communities in the northwest watching on in horror as their homeland is attacked by Russia.
As we come on air this evening, fierce fighting is underway between Russian and Ukrainian troops, and ordinary Ukrainians are being called up to defend their country.
Boris Johnson addressed the nation earlier, admitting his worst fears had come true. He said President Putin had unleashed war in Europe.
Tonight, Ukrainian flags have been flown here in the region, while in Liverpool, St George's Hall has been lit up in Ukrainian colours.
Our correspondent Amy Welch has the latest.
The sound of war is heartbreaking when it's your home. Olga Asma left Ukraine 18 years ago. Her mum left last week.
Literally on Monday she flew here with a small Ryanair bag. It's absolutely hopeless, helpless, horrible situation.
How devastating is it watching your home being destroyed?
Yeah, she says this is very hard. She's obviously very, very worried about her friends. They're still there.
As dawn broke, bombs were dropped.
They don't know what to do. They've got nowhere to go. They have no cars, nowhere to run. Some of them more sort of focused and thinking, well, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here. This is our country. Some of them already en route to exit Ukraine.
As residents rush to leave, one man from Manchester is driving west with his Ukrainian partner.
We're going to go to Poland. We're going to see what we can do, stay with friends, sleep on floors, whatever is required.
I am worried. I'm worried for my family. I'm worried about what's going on. I really don't want things to escalate quickly, but I think it's too late for that now.
At this Ukrainian club in Stockport, parents who watched with pride as their children took to the stage earlier this week, today had their worst fears confirmed.
He's attacked a friendly country without any provocation and without any credible excuse.
One of my mum's cousins is actually on the front line in a tank. He's been there on and off since 2020, and his mum is actually in Italy, and she's really, really worried because she's had no contact from him since yesterday afternoon.
I called to my sister just half an hour ago. I spoke to her. My sister, she has 2 children, so my 2 nephews. Older one is 20 years old, so he has to stay there. My brother-in-law has to stay there.
The UK insists it will stand by Ukraine, but sanctions have so far proved pointless, and there are calls for harsher measures.
We were disappointed with the first stage of sanctions. We felt they were far too weak, and we now hope that the UK government, with the support of all other political parties in the UK, will put the sanctions that need to be in place and anything else that is open to the UK to isolate Russia from the rest of the world.
Putin says anyone who tries to stop him will face the consequences, but the people of Ukraine remain defiant. Their most famous footballer, Alexander Zinchenko, took to Instagram to post his support. Glory to Ukraine, it reads. But with 40 dead and casualties rising, the worry is what happens next. Amy Welch, ITV News.
And the ITV News follows this programme with all the latest, of course, from Ukraine at 6:30.
Well, the situation in Ukraine could trigger a refugee crisis with millions of people needing shelter right across the continent.
Yeah, these pictures show thousands of people trying to get out of cities like Kiev. A Manchester-based charity, Refugee Now, says the UK will need to be on hand to help those displaced by the war.
In the coming days and weeks, we're going to see a significant number of people fleeing. The scale of that crisis is not clear at the moment, and I think what we're particularly concerned about is that the UK government step up and commit to trying to find safe and clear routes for people to be able to find safety.
Well, this comes amid a clampdown by the government on undocumented migrants entering the UK.
It's called the Nationality and Borders Bill. The government says it will fix a broken asylum system, but campaigners say it will break international law.
New figures show the North West has welcomed 700 asylum seekers over the last year.
Our reporter Emma Sweeney has the first of two special reports.
Formby Beach on Merseyside, locals and asylum seekers unite to collect discarded rubbish. But for one litter picker, the backdrop of the Irish Sea is a painful reminder of his terrifying journey across the Channel just 6 months ago.
I got in the boat and put my life in the God hands. People in the boat, very, very scared. Some people they look at the sky and saying, God help us. And some people don't believe to God and they just scared.
The beach clean's been organised by local charity Asylum Link. It's a chance for people to make friends and break down barriers. And it's not long before Afshan discovers a fellow Iranian who, like him, is claiming religious asylum. The men are keen to tell me why they've come to clear the rubbish.
It helps to the next generation to be clean, and and for wildlife, it helps to to animal to be safe.
Afghan and Afshan are among over 11,500 people in the northwest being supported by the Home Office. That means for every 10,000 people in our region, almost 16 are within the asylum system, the second highest rate in the UK. The government says the system is broken and plays into the hands of people smugglers. In a new bill currently making its way through the House of Lords, it's aiming to make life more difficult for future arrivals by boat, lorry or plane who enter the UK without a visa.
For the first time, whether people enter the UK legally or illegally will have an impact on how their asylum claim progresses and on their status in the UK if that claim is successful. We will deem their claim as inadmissible and make every effort to remove those who enter the UK legally, having travelled through a safe country first, in which they could and should have claimed asylum.
But the UN Refugee Agency and other critics say the bill in its current form effectively creates a two-tier system for asylum seekers, and that breaks international law. The other thing they say is, well, there are no safe and legal routes to claim asylum here in the UK. So, for example, at the end of last year, you remember there were lots of families from Afghanistan who moved to the northwest as part of a government resettlement scheme. They were selected for that, and under it they'll be given indefinite leave to remain and help and support to integrate within British society. But under this proposed law, somebody else coming from the same village, also fleeing from the Taliban, but who makes their own way over here, having passed through somewhere like France along the way, well, they'll be treated quite differently. If the government can't remove them right away, it'll restrict their rights.
A temporary status rather than a permanent status, that person won't be allowed to be joined by their family members in the UK, and they won't be able to take advantage of benefits unless they're destitute. That group that's given fewer rights, the government has also said that it will earmark for them custom asylum accommodation. Where we have those dedicated facilities, they have attracted humanitarian criticism relating to human rights abuses, the abuses of their detainees, and also having conditions that are akin either to immigration detention or prison.
One Manchester-based asylum seeker whose identity we're protecting worries about the mental health impact of these type proposals. She was once detained and now works with other women who've gone through similar experiences.
Most of our women have been to detention and they are broken beyond repair. They don't want to come out and talk about it because it's so traumatizing to relive it all and over again. When you listen to their stories, it brings you to tears because they feel like nobody is listening, no matter what they say.
This is a bill that's divided the opinion of MPs here in the North West. At the end of last year, 24 of our members of Parliament voted against the proposed law in its current form. Another 18 of our MPs are in favour of the bill, including Scott Benton, the representative for Blackpool South. He believes the cost of the current system is taking away from local resources.
So we do have around 300 asylum seekers living in Blackpool at the moment, so it's a very vivid illustration of the failure to get a grip of the situation on the south coast, quite frankly. And I think if I'd take a straw poll among people in Blackpool South, the main national issue concerning them at the moment would be those small boats.
The issue of small boats may be of concern to Mr Benton's constituents, but whether or not they believe the answer lies in the bill, well, that's less clear.
Mixed emotions on that one, mixed emotions, but I think they should look at the homeless here first.
They're obviously coming to make a better life for themselves for a desperate reason.
What's wrong with France? You know, that's my only feeling on the thing, really. Why make a beeline for the UK?
And that's the question at the centre of this entire debate. For Afghan and Afshin, they felt the UK would allow them to practice their faith freely. But how should we treat people like them? The answer, it seems, is both complex and divisive.
And Emma is with us now. Emma, I guess many people will be wondering what this bill means for those people who have been displaced by this conflict in Ukraine.
Yeah, I think over the coming weeks and months we'll start to see people in Ukraine go to neighbouring countries, I think, in a lot of cases. We may see some people, though, trying to claim asylum here in the UK. And if this bill becomes law and they come here without documents and without visas, they will be considered illegal, which is why I think we'll start to see people asking our government to introduce some kind of resettlement scheme for those individuals.
Well, you contacted the government about this bill, didn't you? What did they have to say?
Yeah, they say, look, the public have been crying out for reforms to our asylum system now for 2 decades, which is what the bill delivers on. They say they must act to stop these channel crossings and to control the UK's borders.
OK, Emma, thank you.
Well, the other big news tonight is the end of the legal requirement to self-isolate if you have COVID.
Yeah, it's almost 2 years since those restrictions came in, and it's a time that's changed countless lives.
Tonight we're meeting 3 people whose lives have been impacted by the pandemic in very different ways.
And we start with a story of John Maloney from Cheshire.
My name's John Maloney. Unfortunately, I got COVID 2 years ago, right at the very beginning. And it's left me paralysed from the waist down, kidney failure, heart failure, lung damage, can't walk. It's completely and utterly destroyed my life. I was treated a bit like a leopard when I went into hospital. They used to move you from ward to ward, but they did scream at everybody to get out of the way, COVID coming. And you'd see real fear on people's faces. It was like a film. It was like everyone outside had died. We were the only ones, the survivors. And I was in there for one period for nearly 5 months without seeing Jane. Last week I caught COVID again. I was back in hospital, and one morning the nurse came to me and said, "John, we have to be sat up in bed because the doctor's coming to see you." He come and had a chat with me and just said, "Your next infection will worry your body's complete and utterly shattered. We don't think you're going to make it. We wouldn't be able to restart your heart, it's too badly damaged." And we just went through everything and decided not to resuscitate. I'm not one bit bitter, it's just they're the cards I've been dealt. You know, I've had a great life. Might be short. I've been dead lucky, I've been blessed. I've accepted it now. I've just got to get on with trying, you know, live my life as normal as I can.
My name is Connor Ellison and I work in biochemistry at Salford Royal. Going from sort of being behind a bar to sort of, as I say, saving someone's life, no matter what role you're in, it's a change that sort of makes you think that you're making a difference in this world other than you're making a different drink in this world. And losing a job itself is very dramatic and it's very draining on someone, but it gets you to sort of make you realise how lucky you are in this life. COVID has made me sort of realise that I want to do the best and find the best within me. I also want to find the sort of strengths that I never knew I had. I don't think I'll look back now because they've gave me such sort of a chance that I never thought I'd take. It's a family that I never knew I had. The pandemic was definitely a bad situation for not just me, for a lot of people, but I've found the key qualities and sort of the positives and made myself shine, and I do have a lot to thank it for. Without that happening, I wouldn't be the person I am sat here today. I wouldn't be in the role I am today and doing the things I'm doing.
My name's Jen Wiggins and I'm co-founder of the Spirit of Manchester Distillery and also Three Little Words. The pandemic's been challenging, and the sector that we're in, it's been a bruising 24 months, I think is fair to say. We had to close like a lot of businesses. We initially diversified into hand sanitizer. Nightingale Hospital for Manchester is actually, or was actually, above us. And they were struggling to get hand sanitizer, so they got in touch with us, and because we have the kit to be able to hold and mix things that go into hand sanitizer, we were able to diversify and help out. We also supplied to care homes, to schools. When COVID hit and when lockdown happened, it gave us something to do. The rest of the business had to close, and it gave myself and my partner an opportunity to do something with our time that made us feel, you know, as though we were contributing to ultimately what was a really, really challenging time across many different aspects of life. COVID definitely gave us an opportunity to take stock and to lay the foundations for 2022.
I'm not ready for going yet, I'm not ready for giving up. I just want everybody out there to respect everybody else. Please carry on wearing your masks, and please just respectful to each other, and hopefully we'll all get through it.
And of course we wish you well, and thanks to John, Connor and Jen for sharing their stories with our reporters Zoe Muldoon, who put that report together for us.
Well, next tonight, and councillors in Bolton have voted against plans for a multi-million-pound golf course and housing development at Holton Estate in Bolton.
It's been a hugely controversial issue, so let's cross live now to Elaine Wilcox, who's been following events at Bolton Town Hall for us. Elaine, is it a shock decision?
Well, it was a surprise to some, but essentially this was a vote between trees and tees, and Bolton councillors have backed the trees on that all-important green belt. Peel, the developers, have described it as a slap in the face. Their revised plan was for 1,000 homes to be built and a golf course to attract the prestigious Ryder Cup, which they said would transform Bolton and create jobs. But I was here back in 2018. Then Bolton councillors backed that decision. There's been a public inquiry and government support. Today they changed their minds. And Peel have said they think politics are at play.
I said politics in the meeting. I think we're coming up to local elections, and for me that's the only logical explanation as to what's going on here. This town desperately needs investment. This is a great project. There's a lot of support for it. There's a much improved proposal. We've been shortlisted for the Ryder Cup. It's now real. Totally illogical as far as we're concerned.
Well, there were cheers from local people who've opposed these plans from the very beginning. They described the destruction of the green belt as vandalism and urban sprawl, and they didn't accept or believe any of the promises of the economic benefits.
The jobs They're going to be short-term contracts, low-paid, temporary, probably student jobs. It doesn't bring prosperity. And the Ryder Cup will ruin this place. You can only ever hold it once because they say they can't afford to build the golf course. They have to have houses, executive houses, to pay for it.
Well, councillors have said they don't think this will be the end of the story and they fear they'll be lost thousands of pounds in legal costs. Now, Peel have said it was a two-horse race between Kent and Bolton, and they've said this is the perfect opportunity for levelling up. But they say for now, the plans have hit the bunker.
Yeah, OK, let's see what happens. Elaine, for now, thank you.
Well, next, a big thank you to our greatest ever cyclist, Sir Jason Kenny, who's announced his retirement. He has brought us so many magic moments along the way.
Yeah, he certainly has. The track cyclist who won a record 7 gold medals is taking up a coaching role. He hopes he'll find another champion for a new generation, as Chris Hall now reports.
The quiet Boltonian who roared on the track. Sir Jason Kenny turned Manchester's velodrome into a medal factory. But after the rigours of 4 Olympic cycles, he won't ride another.
I'm a little bit disappointed, a little bit sad to be stepping away, but I think ultimately, it was never going to last forever. And I'm just starting to creak a little more and suffer a little bit more than I used to and not recover as well. And so I think it's sort of the right time really for me.
After claiming gold in the team sprint in Beijing 2008, Kenny picked up 2 more in London 2012 and then a hat-trick of golds in Rio 4 years later. Last year in Tokyo, his bid to beat his friend Sir Chris Hoy's record was faltering until one last dramatic push in the Keirin ended in glory.
People always show you your races back and normally it's quite cringy, but that one, I love that race. It's obviously you never get to choose the moment that you retire in sport, but if I could choose any, that would have been the one that I would have picked for my last race anyway.
His success thrilled his hometown, inspiring a 14-year-old Matt Rotherham, who would go on to become a paracycling world champion.
It's a great achievement for both Bolton and England. I want to become a gold medalist as well.
Got to hold his medal and got him to sign his autograph. And when you're that sort of fanboy as a kid in, Bolton Town Square, watching the homecoming to then sort of training alongside and ultimately competing against Jason is pretty cool. He's big for us in Bolton,
Yeah, it's a shame that he retired, but he's definitely put us on the map.
Yeah, good luck to him. He's done us proud, hasn't he?
Will anybody ever achieve better than he will? I don't think so.
Typically, there's been no fuss from Kenny, but wife Dame Laura Kenny posted, "Always proud of you. I would say happy retirement, but it just means more time like this. #TackleDaddy." Of course, Daddy's retirement opens the door for Mummy to tackle his record. Laura will head to the Paris Olympics in 2 years, just 2 golds behind him, while Jason will be there as coach of the men's sprint team.
Yeah, I've had some amazing coaches, some real positive coaches that have had a massive influence on me. And basically, it's just all trying to pull all that experience together and hopefully I can kind of make a real nice, positive environment where the lads feel they can really push on.
He may have retired, but King Kenny won't abdicate his responsibility to Team GB. His career has left him with creaking joints, but he's still aching for more British success. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Love that shot of him with his arms folded. I interviewed him right at the outset of his career. Such an unassuming and lovely man.
Do you know, I often get accused of overusing the word legend, but in my humble opinion, I think he will be regarded as a cycling legend.
Yeah, and inspiring others all the time.
Yeah. Here is Kerry with the weather.
Oh, I love a hot shower and a cold day, me.
And a minute shorter than usual.
What a legend.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather. Hello, very good evening to you. Some interesting skies out there today. Yes, we've seen some sunshine, but also quite a few showers. Those cumulonimbus clouds bubbling up, giving a mixture of rain, sleet, hail and some snow, certainly over the hills, a dusting earlier on today. And coupled with that, some strong and cold west to northwest winds, and they have brought in that rush of showers during the course of today, as you can see on today's satellite and radar. As we head through into this evening then, those strong winds stay with us and also showers will tend to pep up. I've stopped it at 8 o'clock this evening because you can see there could be a couple of centimetres right over the tops of the fells and the Pennines first thing tonight, and then behind that, clear skies and some very well scattered showers. So the risk of some, yes, snow and possibly some icy stretches, certainly where we've got those temperatures hovering around freezing in rural spots overnight tonight. Still quite blustery for much of the night. So as we head into tomorrow, 7:09 and 5:40 are sun times as we head into Friday. Some rogue showers first thing, maybe some icy stretches on untreated surfaces, but actually a much better day, and the middle part of Friday largely dry, clear and sunny, and with lighter winds it will feel more pleasant than that raw west to northwesterly wind today. A little bit of cloud perhaps pushing in to parts of Cumbria into the second half of the day, and there is a weather front to the north and west during the course of Saturday, but high pressure keeps most of us dry. There'll be some high cloud, but it will be dry, bright and breezy, but from a mild direction, and hopefully hanging on to the mostly dry conditions for much of Sunday. Take care. United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Oh, hello.
Get him a towel.
Many thanks, Kerry, and that is it for tonight. But many of us, of course, are thinking about those caught in the conflict in Ukraine. Take a look at this. This is a live shot tonight of Liverpool's St George's Hall, lit up in Ukrainian colours.
Well, Carolyn in Liverpool says, I feel indescribable sadness for those lives that will be lost or changed forever, for the children and the parents now living in fear and danger.
And Lorraine Grayley in Atherton says it's very hard to believe one man can do this to another country. My thoughts and prayers are with the people in Ukraine tonight. Good night.
Good night.